Hello and welcome to another Starcraft 2 commentary video. This is GomJabbar on Battle.net and KenGo on YouTube. And I'm going to bring for you a game today. I could not have said that more awkwardly, but I'm going to press onward. This is a PvP, and this is a pretty cool build that I'm going to show you. This is not a ladder match, this is a custom 1v1 OBS game, so there's a couple of people observing this, but this is definitely real, conditions. And this Protoss versus Protoss build is designed specifically to hold off 4-gate, obviously, and it deals pretty well with Blink Stalker as well. So we're going to see what happens. The key in the early game, you need to decide to do this build, you can't just wing it, is throwing down the gateway on 12. So I'm going to do that here. I have one probe queued up, which I usually do, but I'm actually going to cancel it. And the gateway must go down on 12. You have to cut probes a little bit, but what this does is it allows you to get your cyber core faster and allows you to get your robo faster, which is going to be the key to this build. And you actually don't chrono boost very much at all on your Nexus. You want to save those for your immortals. So without chrono boosting my Nexus, I have enough money to get my gas at 14 instead of the standard 15. And I'll be getting my pylon at 15, which I'm a little bit late on. Not a big deal. So far everything looks standard for both of us. When my opponent Optik comes in to check out my base, what he's going to see is a finished gateway and the cyber core. It's going to look totally natural. Now if he checks the amount of gas here, he might notice a tiny amount of discrepancy. That only high-level players are ever going to even think to do that. And even then, they might peg it as something a little different. So my opponent's getting his second gas, pretty standard. A lot of Protoss do favor the 1 gas 4-gate, which is pretty strong, but it's actually not a big deal. 2 gas is still very strong. Now at this point I'm going to use 1 chrono boost on warp gate because his probe is here and I want him to think I'm 4-gating. I want to force his probe out, of course, and the fact that it's still in here is a little annoying. And I can put down my Robo Bay right now and I want to, but I can't because of his probe. If he sees that go down, he's going to know something's up. And I'm immediately going to throw down that Robo Bay, only a little delayed. Only a little delayed. Not a big deal. And now I'm going to make nothing but zealots. That's another important part of this build. I want my minerals going into zealots. I want 1 gas geyser only, and that's going to be spent entirely on immortals. Optik is getting 3 gateways now. Checking around his base for proxy stuff, and that's because he suspects a 4-gate. Any Protoss who isn't 4-gating is taking a huge risk, theoretically. That's what people think. And so I make them think I'm 4-gating to put him on the defensive, but this will be an offensive 4-gate as well. If he puts a pylon here and really goes aggressive with it, this immortal will pop out right in the nick of time. Because when you chrono boost it continuously, it actually does a ton. It kind of comes out really, really quickly. And I'm going to scout a little bit here. I want to make sure he's not doing an expand or anything crazy. That's not really a big deal if he does. I would probably just match his expansion timing. But it's possible to 1-base Colossus and just beat him. Now I saw the Stalkers and the Zealots, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable. Immortal is already out. I've got another one on the way. 2 gateways in a Robo is actually all you can support if you're making constant Immortals and Zealots. This forge, I'm not actually sure what that's for. It's pretty superfluous, I guess, but I suppose I wanted to expand and get cannons at my natural. But also I'm supply blocked at the worst possible time, which is why I say grr in the chat. Now my opponent's getting a Twilight Council. Very late, actually. He could have put this down like minutes ahead of time, and Blink could basically already be done shortly. So it's a bit of an issue, but not too bad. So why is this so good? What's so good about zealot+immortal against the standard stalker zealot, maybe a couple centuries? Well, the zealots, of course, will get kited by the stalkers. He'll have some zealots as well, but I'm definitely going to have more than him. And what this means is he has to run away from my zealots and kite the zealots, or else they're going to do lots of damage. Look at this damage. This is ridiculous. And the immortals are the damage dealers here. Now, I made a bit of a control error. These zealots are getting into my immortal line. I'm going to avoid that. You need to use your zealots to tank for your immortals, and let your immortals do the damage, because they do 50 damage versus armored per shot, and stalkers are armored. So now that I've held off that attack convincingly, I'm going to expand. This is a standard expansion timing tactic, I guess I should say. Right after you crush your opponent's army, you expand, because he's not going to attack you anytime soon. He doesn't have enough units. So expanding is the safe bet, because I'll be ahead later. And you know, if you crush your opponent's army, a lot of people want to just go in and win immediately, but it is better to expand because it's a safe bet. If you go in and try to win, what was that? I think that was another Robo Bay or something stupid like that. I don't know. Anyway, never mind that. So here's the expand. You might think that I've got nothing except the sentry that can shoot up. And what if he opened Stargate? And that's a pretty valid criticism of this build, obviously, but well, I guess I haven't played around with it enough to know the answer to that question. But, you know, it's pretty difficult to scout them if they're going Stargate. I suppose at this point, I should make an observer now that I'm safe, and then I can check it out. But honestly, I should just start adding stalkers here. I think that's a good thing to be doing, because if he saw all my immortals and zealots, a good player will switch up to Stargate and make void raids or something like that. Probably anticipating my like a one-base Colossus timing. So, and indeed I am going for Colossus. We're just gonna ignore that. So yeah, I mean, a good opponent is going to see this and make void raids. So I think that the answer might be to just start producing stalkers once you've expanded. That's something I'll have to work on, though. And it's possible to transition into double Stargate Phoenix, which is ridiculously good. That certainly beats Colossus, beats Void Raids. It's a great transition that I think is pretty smart. So that's something to consider. And now I've pretty much crushed his army again. Immortals do a lot of damage. Holy crap. And I have 6 of them against 3 stalkers. And my expo is up. Now I should have more gas, I suppose, but it's not really a big deal. So my expansion was up earlier. I have a bigger army now, and I have a better army. And that's PvP, and that goes, and that's the end of it. So, 12 gate, rush to Robotics, make it look like a 4 gate, 1 gas geyser only, make zealots and immortals, chrono boost the immortals. You should hold the 4 gate, and as soon as he retreats from that 4 gate, you expand and then probably transition, unlike what I did here, in case he does go Stargate or something. In fact, I think an observer almost immediately after he retreats is also a good plan, because then you can scout out if he's doing Stargates or even DTs or crazy shenanigans like that. Also, you can skip this forge. I didn't actually need it at all. And luckily my opponent forgot to harass with the zealots, but he could have done some damage. Anyway, pretty quick game, but yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching.